Now what I normally do is take the peppers and I run them under cold water. But since I don't have a sink here, I've decided to get a steel pan of water, okay? And I'll take as much of the skin off as I can, this charred skin. See, it doesn't cook, it doesn't char and burn the flesh of the pepper, it just cooks it. And that's where your steaming comes in. I put them into either a steel bowl with a cover or like a plastic yogurt container and cover it up. Tupperware works really well. All those kinds of things. Lets the pepper steam a little bit. Now rinse it off in my makeshift sink here and get most of it. You don't have to get 100% of the skin off, just most of it. Okay. All right. Now this pepper, it comes out. It comes pretty clean. It's a nice thing, and you can see where this part of the pepper gets a nice smoky flavor, where the skin chars a little bit. This is a great thing. This is a beautiful thing right here. Okay, so now I'll just move this. I'll get this one. I have this one peeled. This one's nice and big. Okay, this pepper goes pretty well. So what I want to do is cut the top of this right off. Okay, there. Pull out the seeds. Okay, just get rid of those guys there. Actually, that little thing comes in handy. Okay, so I get rid of most of the seeds. Okay, now I have a nice pepper. I can fill this with this filling. Okay, with my rice and corn. Actually, I should have a bigger spoon. Or, what works well too, is a hand. Okay, if your hands are clean, no problem. So I have this filled. Okay, now I don't fill it all the way to the top, and I just press the edges a little bit here. Clean off anything that's on the outside. Okay, set that down here. Okay, now I get a baking dish. Okay, and I'll set this pepper. And I have enough to do this other one. Also enough filling here. So I get this filled. Okay. And then I'm going to make a sauce. We're going to bake these in a Monterey Jack sauce. It's going to be a cream sauce. This is a fairly rich dish. It's good though. It's good. You'll love it. So, okay. So I've got these. Got my 2 peppers in the baking dish. All right. And then I'll go back over to the stove and we'll get our Monterey Jack sauce going. Okay, so I have some Monterey Jack cheese here, and I have it cubed, and this will be there. I have some milk, okay? And I'm going to make a roux. I'll do this here, and then we'll go over to the stove. Okay, so for the roux, a roux is a thickening agent, okay? It's got flour, which I have here, a tablespoon of flour and a tablespoon of oil. Mix them together. I'm using a canola oil again. You can use butter, olive oil, anything. Okay, and this will thicken the sauce, and it also has the effect of, when you make a sauce using milk, half and half, cream, if you add anything to that sauce that has an acid in it, you'll curdle the milk and you'll end up making a cheese. It's what they used to call a pot cheese, right? So what you want to do is you thicken the milk first. You add the roux to the milk first. And then when you add your cheese, which has some acid in it, or like a white wine or something like that, lemon juice, the sauce will stay nice and smooth, won't curdle. All right, so let's gather all this. I'll come over to the stove and we'll make our sauce. I have about 2 cups of milk, a little more maybe, and I'll get that heated up. Once that's come to the boil, that'll be ready. And then I'll add the roux, okay, and then the cheese and the seasonings, okay? So it's basically, I'll heat this right up. Actually, you can add the roux while it's still cool before it gets comes to the boil. Just stir it in. Okay, we'll let that heat up. Now, in the meantime, this pepper that I was roasting, hey, yeah, they put a sticker on there. Look at how nice that is. You can see this pepper. It's just gorgeous. Even here where it's not black, you can see that skin's going to come right off. That's cooked under there. This is just how you want it. You don't have to have the whole thing 100% blackened. It's not necessary. But this pepper is ready. This one's done. Okay, now our sauce is heating up a little bit. It's getting there. I take a little bit of salt. Okay. Here's the spoon. A little bit of salt for the sauce. This sauce does not need to be really spicy. The milk and the cheese and a little bit of salt, it more or less balances the smoky flavor. And since I put in the lime juice and the cumin and the spices into the filling of the peppers, then this sauce will balance that. It's you could make it very hot or spicy or tangy, but it's not necessary. So now this is starting to thicken up just a little bit. The roux is doing its thing. Okay, and I'll add the Monterey Jack cheese. Let's throw that in there. And the cheese will melt. We'll let this work on this. And what you want to do with these peppers, you can make these, you can roast them and fill them ahead of time, have them in your baking dish, and then make the sauce and put them in the oven. Say if you're entertaining, and you want to get some things done ahead of time, you can do the peppers ahead, up to where you're stuffing them, put them in the baking dish, and then you can add the sauce afterwards and bake them. So you could do that night before or whatever, and that will help. They last a few days. Also, when you're roasting the peppers, if you buy a large quantity of them and you roast them up, you spend an afternoon doing it, it's a lot of fun. They freeze really well. Once you peel them, rinse them off, you can either take the stems and the seeds out right then, or you don't have to. You can do it when you thaw them out. They freeze beautifully. I do it all the time at home. So then during the winter I have a supply of red peppers. Now the cheese is starting to melt in the sauce. It's coming along really nicely. One thing you can add to this is a dry white wine. Works well. It just adds a little bit of flavor to it. Or even, this is something that I've done before, is a little bit of grapefruit juice. It really brings out the flavor. You can do a lot of things with this. You don't have to, there's no rigid rules cooking. Some things are advisable. But a lot of things, I mix and match a lot of different kinds of foods. And it's just basically an idea that you want.